Daddy, here, Mrs. Cross. Here. Mrs. Maniti. Mrs. Masiello. Mrs. Masiello. Mrs. Romano. Here. Mrs. Ibbott. Here.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept the agenda. Mrs. Romano, second by Mr. Fernandez. All in favor? I meant to yes. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay. Thank you all, everyone, for coming. We're going to have a presentation now for the lacrosse athletes.
Good evening. I think Coach Borchers is back there. You want to come and join us? He's like, no, why me? It's been a pleasure to see the lacrosse team grow over the years in the program, and I know how much time you put in personally to the success that the team has had. But we're honoring two ladies tonight that were selected from the lacrosse team at the end of last season as the Lacrosse Players of the Year by the Journal News. And it's a very competitive position because we are in an area, Section 1 is very strong in many sports. Many times we send teams to the state competitions. So we have a lot of great players, a lot of dedicated young athletes that give up a lot of their time to be competitive. And it was a pleasure seeing these two young women that I know personally. Both of them have known them since they're very little. And I know the time and effort that it takes to be a high school athlete. And I know how much passion these girls have had for that sport. So we couldn't honor them at the end of the year because unfortunately, because it is the spring season, those final accolades come out in the summer. And these two ladies were seniors, so they were on their way to college, and we figured we'd wait until the January meeting, hopefully that they would be on break still, and we could honor them in front of their community.
Not much, that was very flattering. Thank you to the school board and to everybody for giving the opportunity to for them to come back and be recognized this evening. The first girl, regretfully, she's back at school already. Their team won the national championship last year, so they're prepping already. They start practice immediately, so she's there. And the first girl is Elizabeth Fox. Yep. Both girls amassed 400 points in high school, and they're both All-Americans. Finished each other's sentences, as you can see in the article. They were big reason why we've been so successful, and the impression that they left on the entire community and our lacrosse program and the school in general is something we're never going to forget. And the second girl who is here today, we have her come up, is Lee Kretcher.
We also have the section winners of academics here tonight. And just like it takes a lot of effort to be a student athlete, it takes a lot of effort to be an AP scholar. And the students that we're recognizing tonight have taken multiple AP level courses. For those in the room or in the audience who might not know, AP courses are college level courses, which credit is based on one final exam at the end of the year. It's a national program, very competitive. And we're very proud that year after year, we have more and more of our high school students participating, not just in the AP program, but taking advantage of the multiple partnerships that we have established with many colleges. And, you know, I always hear back from parents of graduates who now often tell me, you know, my son or daughter entered college as a sophomore because of the 30-something credits that they graduated with from North Rockland High School. And at the cost of college today, I can't begin to say how proud that makes us feel to help our families with that cost of college and to help our young people that maybe want to double major but not stay in college for 5 years or pay for college for 5 years. And it certainly gives them the opportunity to do that or to do a little more exploring without extending their time in college. So I'm very proud of them because certainly the young people represented here tonight, that's a choice that they've made, and it comes at a price. They have to study hard, they have to put in extra work, extra time, and again, it makes me, I'm always very proud of our North Rockland graduates and our North Rockland students. We have great, great students in this community, but the students here tonight, again, have put so much extra effort in just doing their personal best and getting ready for that next step beyond high school. So we're very proud to recognize them tonight. They're the all-stars of our academic program. And to do that, I would like to bring up two people that have a lot of responsibility for a lot of the programming that happens at North Rockland High School, and that's Dr. Gill, the principal, and Lauren DePonte, our head of guidance.
I just would like to say something. I want to, as a former college teacher for 35 years, I know how difficult my courses were. I know how difficult the AP and how challenging they are. I want to congratulate everybody. We have so many more students. And I guess I also want to say something about Dr. Gill, the assistant principals, the counselors, and the teachers, of course, because they really put a lot of emphasis on getting more students into these courses, encouraging kids who would normally take honors courses to take the lead and challenge themselves. So I personally would like to congratulate you all and push your parents, because they help out too.
But what I'd also like to say is, it's important that we're encouraging our children. Can you hear me? It's important that yes, as Mr. Krause said, that we're encouraging, and the high school does such an amazing job of encouraging our students to take these accelerated courses, to challenge themselves and to make them ready for college and career. The one thing that I'm most proud of is the level of success that our kids have been achieving. So it's not just that they're taking more of these classes, but it's that more students are achieving 3 and plus on these exams, which really is what makes a difference. It makes it worth the money that the parents are spending for it, and we know that our kids are ready for the challenge. So I'd like to congratulate Dr. Gill and all the staff at the high school as well.
We're actually going to start with a special award. It is related to academic success and the College Board. The Advanced Placement Program is part of the College Board, which also administers the SATs and the PSATs. And North Rockland High School is very, very proud to have a National Merit Scholarship Program semifinalist. This young man, I'm going to announce his name in a moment, is one of 7,000 students in the United States who is recognized for his performance on the PSAT, which he took when he was a junior. He's currently a senior. That puts him in about the top 2% of all the PSAT takers in the United States of America. It really is an accomplishment, very, very big time accomplishment. And his name is James Coha. James, come on up. Studies, right? was waiting too long for the meeting to get going. I'm going to stay a little bit more. Okay, and now we're gonna, I'll give the microphone back to Mrs. Eckert.
We have a surprise presentation tonight for Dr. Gill. And I say for him, but really it's for Dr. Gill, the whole administrative team, the whole staff at North Rockland High School that worked very hard to accomplish many wonderful things in that school. But the AP program recognizes schools across the country who have raised not only the number of students that are taking AP exam, but also, as Mrs. Romano said, the number of students scoring 3 or higher on those exams. We have many schools, even in the district, in the county, who allow any student to participate in an AP course, but don't even mandate that they sit for the exam. It's our expectation that students that qualify to take the AP courses not only do well, obviously, in the course, but that they are sitting for the exam. So this that does recognize that level of excellence beyond just participation, but really a level of excellence in achievement. So North Rockland High School had been named in the past, and again this year, as part of the 9th annual AP District Honor Roll, was named a school in the AP District Honor Roll. So congratulations to the whole North Rockland community.
All right, so I know we're going to announce a large group of students. We know that a lot of the students that we're going to recognize aren't here tonight because many of them may be at college. Some of our high school students have other commitments. So I'm going to call all the names. And if we call your name and you're here, come on up. Shake hands with Mrs. Eckert, Mr. Maciello, Mrs. Ponte. We'll make sure we have your certificate. And we ask all of the first group, the AP scholars, to stay up at the front, and we'll get a group picture when we're done. So the first group is students who are recognized by the College Board as AP scholars. This is for students who had a 3 or higher on 3 or more exams in their high school career. We're very excited. This is the first time since I've been principal that we're actually recognizing juniors in high school as well. As you know, we brought on a couple of new advanced placement courses that our sophomores can take. So we also have some juniors here, some seniors here, and some recent graduates. If you're here, come on down and receive your certificate. I'll kind of read the names and we'll hold our applause till the end. Michael Ejec, Alyssa Anderson, Ava Andrews, Mark Bottolato, Daniel Beluch, Kaylee Benega, Brianna Bloomer, Cheryl Caballero, William Campisi, Melanie Campizano, Michael Carr, Roberto Chia Balmaceda, Django Chimway, Eva Clairvoyant, Samantha Colon, Tatiana Contreras, Allison Kruger, Olivia Cernicki, Samantha Dankner, Megan Delicio, Nicholas Dew, Michael Eckerly, Natasha Fallon, Kathleen Fortunato, Joe Gianella, Emily Gill, Jillian Haber, Cody Hamilton, Christopher Enriquez, Emily Howard, Dakota Howe, Julia Hyatt, Catherine Iavella, James Kohut, Andrew Colasar, Catherine Kanako, Amber Kuhn, Caitlin McGraw, Caitlin Lamb, Erica Landayan, Elizabeth Lee, Daniel Lemoyne, Jasmine Lee, Jessica Lopresti, Rebecca Luther, Patrick McGee, Sanjana Mala, Evelyn Martinez, Annie McCarthy, Diego Miranda, Caitlin Ocasio, Joseph Olson, Brian Onerty, Adriana Orantes, Jessica Outerkirk, Isabella Palomero, Brianna Paris, Kaylee Barrett, Henry Rodriguez, Madison Rodriguez, Catherine Rufino, Sarah Sahadi, Zoe Scholes, Kaylin Serra, Nicholas Slanka, Ashley Tavares, Xavier Thomas, Alexander Tiso, Preston Torres, Caitlin Tui, Isabella Valentino, Christopher Van Ryn, Connor Van Ryn, Justine Vance, Victoria Waite, and Catherine Zuccarello. Let's give that group of students a round of applause. Can you get like a group shot that way?
Yeah, I get a group shot. They just kind of, you know. Yeah. All right, ready? In there, Mike. 1, 2, 3.
If you didn't get your certificate, see Mr. Deponte right over here. Okay, if you need to get your certificate, see Mr. Deponte right over here. Okay, that was our AP Scholars. Next, we have AP Scholars with Honors. These are for students who had 3 or higher on at least 4 exams during their high school career. And we have a group of students we recognize right now. It's a new group. Ashley Chan, Diane De Los Santos, William Ellis, Sharon Gerber, Jessica Hernandez, Kevin Kudelka, Kayla Leonard, Tristan Lee, Benjamin Lin, Skylar Mason, Olivia Mendelson, Alirio Palerano, Eddie Peralta, Matthew Phillip, Lauren Pipe, Sydney Pipe, Solomon Thomas, Yaslandi Urena, and Alexandra Zararis. And I know we have with us Diana and Benjamin. Diana, we're at what school again, Northeastern? No. Sophie B. Davis School of Medicine for the CUNY, City College of New York. And Ben? And Benjamin's a freshman at Stony Brook University. Let's put our hands together for these students.
Get a little closer.
Okay, we're moving up the sort of the ladder here of the amount of students who've taken the exams. This is AP Scholars with Distinction. These are for students who scored a 3 or higher on at least 5 exams in their high school career. And we'll start with Brandon James Angeles. Here, Brandon here. Yeah, Brandon here. Hey, Brandon. Phoenix Dalto. Phoenix is here. Phoenix. Riley DeGroat, Justin Hall, Prima Kaura, Ariella Levy, Matthew Marino, Monica Madrano, Roshini Prasad, Freya Peters, Christopher Tiso, Lara Ann Villanueva. I know Lara Ann's here. Let's put our hands together for Lara Ann. And John Waite. I know we're very, very excited. Brandon, where are you in school right now, Brandon? Senior, where are you going this year? Where is that? RCC, okay. We have Lara Ann, who's a freshman at Johns Hopkins University. And of course, Phoenix is off to Yale in the fall. So let's put our hands together. our final scholar. I'm not sure if he's here, but there's one young man who graduated last year. He was a national AP scholar. He's an AP scholar with distinction. That means this young man scored a 4 or higher on at least 8 AP exams in his high school career. He was an amazing student. That's Matthew Lewis. I don't think Matthew's with us tonight, but Matthew Lewis is the recipient of that award. Thank you, everybody.
A lot of hard work, and we're very proud of all of you. Okay, this is going to be our budget presentation. This will be the second one of the year. And at the end, you'll see the schedule for the remaining presentations. Is that good? Chris, is there an attachment on that type? No.
Okay, for those of you at the committee of the whole, you know that pretty much we review the presentations there, and then unless there's any new information, we just review it for the public at the public meeting. So this is what we know so far. We know that it's very early in the budget season. We know that many districts don't start their budget presentations till around March or April, when most of the information is known. But we know that our situation is always complicated in North Rockland, therefore we like to just roll out the information as it comes to us and as we know it. So advocacy to date, we know that we work extremely closely with our elected officials, and we just pared down really to just last year what some of those lobbying efforts were. Beyond what we see here, we know that I'm looking at Mrs. Sugarby. I know that she goes to Washington and she lobbies as part of the New York State School Board. I know Mary and Debbie have gone to Washington as well on Capitol Conference Day. I know they go to Albany, and many of our board members sitting here tonight join us in those trips to Albany to meet with our elected officials. So it's not just a few of us doing, it's a collective effort. We've been joined by our union leadership at some of these meetings as well. So it's really an entire community effort, and as a community, only we understand what we've dealt with since the settlement of the Myron lawsuit. But new here is we know that we have a new assemblyman, Colin Schmidt, replacing Assemblyman Skoufis as he moved on now to be a senator. Very proud of him. And we will be reaching out shortly. We figure we let him get settled in a little bit in Albany first and get his way around, but we will be reaching out to Assemblyman Schmidt soon to just sit down with him and kind of make him aware of where we are. And I know that Ken has already done some of that, and James has already done some of that as well. There you go. So we'll let him settle in a little bit before we start pressing him. But there are some costs, as we know in every budget, that are really outside of the district's control. Our biggest cost is obviously still that Myron debt. We have paid to date $157 million and change, and we still owe $212. So we know that the entire debt, although the settlement was 224 million, when you add the interest rate to those bonds, the entire cost of the debt is $369 million. New York State still continues to implement unfunded mandates, and I know that school boards, the Superintendent's Association, NICED, all of our organizations have consistently asked the state that we understand you have great ideas and great initiatives that you want to roll out. If you roll out a new initiative, please cost it out first and fund it, because it can't all fall on local taxpayers. We know that Albany has not really traditionally done that. And you can't argue with some of the innovation that they bring forward, like I know our latest, and you'll see here, the mental health curriculum. We know that mental health is an issue, not just in North Rockland, not just in Rockland County or the state of New York, in the nation. It's almost at a crisis level. And we know the lack of resources that exist in mental health, and we now have to roll out a curriculum in mental health, which is a great thing. And children do need that, but again, it's another unfunded mandate that took time from our staff that we had to pay for, curriculum writing, and now implementation that we have to put forth. Same thing with social emotional learning. A lot of good work being done in the nation on that, and it is time we start taking a look at that. For many years, with this whole No Child Left Behind, we were very focused on ELA and math and scores and tests, and I think we sort of forgot that we raise and educate children. And so again, some of these initiatives are really great for students, but they come without any funding and without any resources, additional resources for districts to implement. So here are some of those stressors. Yeah, Peg.
To the old up there and here, because a lot of people are kind of like,
they're over it.
Sensitized.
Yes.
They hear it around, think it must be over by now. But I think that's an important number to end the year.
Yeah.
People will know.
It was important that day because it was 224 million, which was way above what our entire budget was that year. I think if you weren't around, and you're right, we look at those numbers all the time, so we sort of forget ourselves. Just the magnitude of that settlement. It is the largest tax surcharge settlement in the state of New York. And when we had to pay that back, obviously we didn't have the reserves, although the district had tried to position itself and save it and have reserves to settle that tax surcharge. I don't think anybody imagined the magnitude of what it was going to come in at. So when it came in at 224 million, we had 30 million in reserves that we paid up front, but then we got permission to bond 194 million over 30 years. So it's that over 30 years that haunts us, because there was no other way to do it. Even over 30 years, it started out as being 15 million a year. Now because we have refinanced those bonds, have gotten that payment down to about 12 million a year. But still, it was a 30-year commitment. So I know that I'm told many times, you have to get over Myron. I wish I could. It's not something that we can get over. It is a commitment that we have for 30 years. So thank you, Peggy. Yeah.
It's a climate that still exists.
Yes.
Even though the economy is doing better, we still have this climate to be.
Right. Other issues that are beyond our control, and again, another national item, health insurance. We know that the rates have fluctuated very heavily for us. Again, with the help of our bargaining units over the years, we have tried to do our best to control those costs. And to do that, we have had to change insurance plans. We went self-funded for a while. That saved us money. And then it became a little scary with the costs that were going out there. So we found a consortium that was just for schools, that it's a non-for-profit, and switching to New York 44 did save us considerably the first few years. But now their costs are also, as everybody else's, even NYSHIP we know has gone up. So everybody's going up. And this is an issue not just for school districts, for municipalities, for small businesses, for anybody who deals with insurance costs. Teacher retirement and employee retirement expenses, we know that these fluctuate with the market. And some years ago, after 2008, with the market becoming very volatile, those costs went up very high and spiked up very quickly. They have come down a bit, but there's information now to say that the next year, the next 5-year leveling that is due out this year for the teachers' retirement will probably show spikes in that in the next 5 years because of the market and what it's done in the last couple of years. So again, these are costs that are there that we have very little control over. So regional funding, I had gone to a meeting, I am on the legislative committee for NRCSD, for the Superintendents Association, and they had shared some slides and a presentation with us, and some of the information also comes from the Rockland County School Boards, and recently they had their legislative meeting and they shared some information as well. So here's Rockland County, and there we are up on top. We know that we live in a part of the state where regional costs are another factor, and another factor that we have very little control over. We also live in a region of the state where our poverty numbers have really spiked. Even in North Rockland, I can remember just as far as maybe 7 or 8 years ago, we were teetering around 30-something%. We just spoke with Ray, and depending on the month, because again, we're pretty fluid in certain pockets of population that leave and come, but we're between 52 and 55% on poverty, and that's based on the free and reduced lunch. And we know that that number is not even 100% accurate, because we know we have many families that, for whatever the reason, do not fill out the free and reduced lunch. So we can estimate that our real poverty is probably at least 5% higher than that. So the current formula doesn't incorporate updated poverty percentages or incorporate updated regional costs. And you'll see that in a minute, what that means. We know that the campaign for fiscal equity that was settled back in 2007 was the one that really forced this foundation aid formula that we currently have. However, that foundation aid formula was frozen back in 2008 and then reduced. So it was supposed to be a 5-year phase-in. It was phased in, it was increased for the first 2 years, 2007-8, 2008-9, and then it was frozen in 2009. And then we also had the gap elimination that came in and took funds away. So when we hear, now the governor saying that they have given larger increases than ever before, they're still catching up. And you'll see in a minute where we're not anywhere near being caught up. So I know the governor just put out a statement that that's an outdated settlement and that's an outdated formula, that's in the past and they're gonna move forward. It was 2 courts that separately twice now said New York State was not meeting its obligation to fund schools. So, regional costs have only gone up. So I don't think we're made whole. But right now, if you were to say we're going to fund that accordingly, how it's supposed to be funded, there are 405 districts in the state of New York that are being funded $3.5 billion under where they're supposed to be. So it would take $3.5 billion just to catch up districts where there should be. On the other hand, though, there are 269 districts that are being funded $292 million above where they should be, because maybe they have less poverty, maybe they have less students. So if 200 more students moved into North Rockland tomorrow, we wouldn't be funded more on foundation aid. We're capped. So we would have to absorb that cost within our local budget. We wouldn't receive extra state aid. So that's the big fight here, because there are going to be winners and losers if they decide just to go with the foundation aid and catch people up, because some people will actually lose money. So assuming that it's a safe harmless and they don't take away from those 269 districts, what it means is that the state would need $3.5 billion to actually just catch up. And here's how it's divided in terms of the average need, how many are average need, low need, and high need, rural and high need small cities. So where are we in the wealth comparison? We've had in the last few years that in the county, and you see the bottom there, and some of them are, are near Westchester neighbors, and this is from Rockland County School Boards. But if you look just at the county in terms of wealth ratio, and that's again income and property wealth, we are the lowest. We're below the state average, which is 1.0. If you look at our foundation aid increase, last year. We said, well, geez, we in Nanuet seem to get the most. But when we look at foundation aid owed, we're owed the most. So we should be getting the most because we're still owed the most in the county and having the smallest wealth ratio, combined wealth ratio. And, right. If you look at our funding, that funding, and this is from NRCSD, from the presentation I was at, in order to make us whole, if they were to make us whole tomorrow, they would need to fund us $3,543 more per student. So per student, that's the amount that we're being funded under the foundation aid formula. And you see there in that slide, and these slides will be posted on our website so anybody can see them.
And that's per year?
That's per year.
$24 million a year.
Yes.
We could solve her wrong.
Yes, we could. That's what we said. That would be another solution for us.
Which is also the highest number on the chart.
Yes, it's one of the highest numbers on the chart. There you see, I think there was one district above us, Portchester, who's also a very poor district. So the poorer districts are being penalized the most. And this is a survey that the Council of School Superintendents does every year. And one of the questions is, thinking ahead 3 years or so, how optimistic or pessimistic are you about whether your district will be able to fund services adequate to the needs of your students? And it's important to know that in that pinkish area, 56%, that means somewhat pessimistic. Then the area above that, where we have 13%, very pessimistic, and then the area in the dark maroon on top, not able to do it now. And that's 7% of the superintendents responding that said, we're not able to meet it now. And then another 13%, I'm very pessimistic that we'll be able to fund it, and another 56%. So 76% of the superintendents are somewhat pessimistic to not being able to do it already in terms of funding their programs in their districts. And I tell you, when I go to those statewide meetings that I do, I hear my colleagues say, we can't offer AP courses, or we can't offer, college level courses. We have cut our sports to just offering varsity. I mean, it breaks your heart because kids can't get into even state schools in their own area because their resume is not competitive enough because of the lack of programming in some of these. And some of them are small rural districts that have limited resources and limited kids to begin with, but they could be, with today's technology, very innovative, but they can't afford to. So it's, it's dire, the funding for schools in New York. When we now talk about SALT and the $10,000 limit, again, another question was the percentage of superintendents identifying the $10,000 cap on SALT deductions as a concern in thinking about their district finances. If you look at the regions, again, the highest cost part of the state, you're talking about Long Island, Lower Hudson Valley, Mid Hudson Valley, where your property values and property taxes are high. It's not as much as an issue in maybe Western New York or the Southern tier because their taxes are not as high. But in this area where we live, where the regional cost is high, obviously people are paying in many cases much more than $10,000 for the property taxes, which is now not going to be deductible. So from NRCSD, one of the things that we do as a group is set an agenda, and we met with our legislators in Albany that day as well, and we talked about some of these issues. We broke up in different groups, but what is it that we're looking for as sustainability? One and foremost in everybody's mind, update and fund schools appropriately with updated information, real-time information from year to year as to what are real populations. We know it costs, there are higher costs of educating special ed students, there are higher costs of educating students that come with ELL needs because there's state regulation as to services that you have to provide. So funding schools appropriately, using the real students that are before us from year to year would be helpful. Amending the tax cap, and we know it's not going away, and we know that in our region, taxpayers need help. I understand that fully and wrestle with our budget every year because I live in this community and I know what it means. But making it a 2% every year, so we know what a fixed number would be helpful. We know that there are communities in Rockland County, Nanuet several times, we had it once, that have had negative tax caps. When you have rollover costs that are higher every year, when you're working with less money than you had the year before, it makes that very difficult. The only way you can accomplish that is by laying people off or getting rid of programs. We're a people business, as Peggy and Debbie said in our meeting. You know, most of our budget is spent on people because we are working with children, with people. So there's not many reductions that we can make in other places. Helping with maximizing resources, mandate relief, take small, immediate steps. What things can we eliminate right now that wouldn't be hurtful, that wouldn't take a lot of doing, but that would save districts money? We go, for example, to 3 different audits over and over again. I know NISBA has brought that up. I know NISCUS has brought that up. Can we let go of one of those audits? That would be an immediate reduction. Steps that set the stage for bigger actions. Over and over, we've asked to put together a committee of multiple stakeholders that could really take a look at all of these unfunded mandates and what's needed, what could be done differently. There's never been an appetite to do that. Access reserves, local, similar to local governments, we know TRS has been kind of a cost that has gone up and down over the years. Special ed reserves. These are 2 things that it wouldn't mean Albany giving us additional money, but it means that if you have a good year one year, let us open a reserve that could then take care of those spikes that happen in those costs. I know one of my colleagues at that meeting shared as an example, he has a small budget, $4 million. It's a very small rural community with maybe 200 kids. And he said, you know, I could have a family that moves in with 2 students who have very high needs and need special placement outside of the district that will cost me $250,000, $300,000. He goes, my budget can't absorb that without me making significant cuts someplace else. And that can happen anywhere. And it's not that we don't want to educate those children, but listen, those children deserve the same education anybody's getting and deserve to be in a program where they can thrive and move ahead. It's just a matter of dollars and cents. Where you have a budget that's already approved and passed, where do you get now $250,000 out of a $4 million budget to absorb those costs? So a special ed reserve that, again, could put money aside so that if you have a year like that, you could take from there without cutting other programs that year. Raising the capital outlay limit, we know that right now that's $100,000, and that's capital improvements that you could make, and you would be reimbursed that following year instead of being reimbursed over 18 years. We're saying there's not much you could do with capital improvements today with $100,000. Again, this is not something that Albany would have to fund more. It's just that they're paying it in the following year, but raise that to 250, so we could make some significant improvements and get that reimbursement real time. The other issue, that $30,000 earning limit for retired police officers, we know with the safety concerns, we ourselves this year hired a lot of retired law enforcement personnel, but they're limited to earning that $30,000 if they're under 65. So again, this is not something that would cost the state any money, but we said, please open up that legislation so that these people could make a little more and we could hire them as full-time. It is cheaper for our districts because they already have insurance from their retirement. So it is a benefit to both. They could earn a little more and we would have access to a really well-trained cadre of people to pick from.
You did say under 65.
Under 65, if they're under 65, yeah, if they're over 65, they could make over that 30,000. And the last one is an increase in the funding for career and technical education reimbursement. And even for techs, for anybody that we hire through BOCES, you only get reimbursed on the first $30,000 of their salary. So if that person is costing us $100,000, we only get the BOCES reimbursement on 30. So we're saying we would like to participate more and send more children to career and vocational training. However, it is at a high cost to us right now. So if we make that a little more feasible, that hasn't been increased, by the way. Mike and I and Rose were trying to figure it out. It's been at least 20 years. So imagine how much, salaries have increased and benefits and the cost of doing business, and that reimbursement rate has not been increased in over 20 years. Again, the teacher's retirement historical there, you see the spike, the largest spike in 2014-15, then it came down greatly, then it came down a little bit, then it came down again, a nice chunk in 17-18, then it went slightly back up again, and now it's projected to come in between 8.5 and 9.5, so hopefully there's a little bit of a decline there, but as I said, we were told at that legislative meeting I attended that the next 5-year flattening projection is due out this year, and to expect that the projected cost is again going to go up in the next 5 years because of how volatile the market has been. And again, the employee retirement system, and we put a little asterisk there because moving forward, since new tiers were created that contribute different amounts, it's tough to come up with a number, but the increase will probably not be any this year for the ERS. Again, depending on how many people you have employed in any of those tiers, it's a little bit more complicated, but we expect that to, on the average, come in flat this year. And here's our budget calendar, basically is the rest of our meetings. And as we get more information moving forward, I know the governor will be unveiling their budget. I know that all of our associations have already gone on record with what they're asking Governor Cuomo to come up with funding for schools next year, and we'll see where the conversation in Albany goes moving forward. Any questions? Richard? Yes, all the budget presentations are on our website. Right. Yeah. Right. And again, some of these numbers change. We're cautious with what we put up this early because again, many of this information can change as we move forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Ecker. We'll keep moving forward. Okay, is there any old business? Being no old business, is there any correspondence? Okay. I want to open up for public comment. Are you looking at Eric? No one is signed up. Okay, we have a retirement, non-instructional. If I could ask Mr. Fernandez, please.
Okay, whereas Ms. Wanda Arroyo has served North Rockland Central School District with education for a total of 23 years, and whereas she has submitted her resignation for retirement purposes, therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, hereby accepts with deep regret the resignation of Wanda Arroyo, Food Service Supervisor, effective January 25th, 2019, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education wishes Ms. Arroyo and her family much happiness in the future.
May I have a motion to accept that? Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Mrs. Menino. Seconded by the whole board? Very good. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Is she here tonight?
Just for the board's clarification on the first reading of that district policy, that was a policy we had approved. And the only thing is we left a sentence out there saying that receipts still have to be submitted, although there's a set amount for reimbursement. Receipts need to be submitted. So that sentence was left out, and we wanted to really be clear that although there's a set amount, you still have to submit receipts to get reimbursed. So that's the only change.
Okay. We're at the consent agenda. These items that we have already worked on in our workshop and discussed. Use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective time by adopting a single motion to cover relatively routine matters, which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate that item, and it will be transferred to the regular agenda for consideration and a separate vote, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. So may I have a motion for consent agenda? Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Mrs. Liberty. Any discussion?
I would just like to thank the people that make these donations to our schools. I think that, sometimes you just have these things lying around your house, instruments that you paid for example, that when you were renting them for your students, and rather than just stay home and, be ruined or just forgotten, that they're donated to our schools for kids that can't afford those rentals or for whatever reason, don't have instruments. I think that that's such a valuable thing that our community does. I just want to recognize that separately. And the same thing with the telescope and the tripod. I think it sounds like that person was moving and they were cleaning out and they saw this and they saw it as an opportunity to give to our kids. And I think that is just such a wonderful thing to do. So I just wanted to recognize it. I don't have the names. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I just wanted to say thank you publicly. It'd be great if more people could do that.
Very good, Mr. Romano, and it's very well used, and the students really receive it well. They're excited when that happens. So it's a good, very good point.
The other one was the Rich.
Did anyone else have anything to discuss? Anything okay? So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn? Mrs. Romano, second by Mr. Kraus. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us right to the end.